A group of guys got together and they worked with the people down at McNeese, in the Southland Conference, and that's what really started the involvement of putting this bowl game together. It was a dream that came true, and they wanted to focus around the spirit of independence, and that's where the name came from, and where the Bradley Award first came from. Omar Bradley was the last living five-star general, and that's where the spirit of independence Bradley Award came from. So that kind of evolved, and I think the first game was McNeese against Tulsa, that's from memory. And it kind of evolved from that, but it wasn't until we got Syracuse, it was our first game with a named school, and particularly out of the East. And then it kind of evolved from there. And back at that time, we were an open, there were no conference ties, no Southeastern Conference, no ACC. We had no ties, so we were completely independent. But where I really started getting involved was in 1982, when we had Wisconsin and Kansas State. That was an experience. We played in the mud and the rain and the cold. I can't remember the crowd, but that was the start of where we started to go big time. At that time, we didn't have many people involved in the bowl as we are today. Today is, to use the pun, we have a cast of thousands versus a few select few that got involved with the bowl. And the evolution that has taken place is unbelievable of the number of volunteers and the number of corporate sponsors that we have. Really, it evolved. It evolved. The dream kind of came through. Yes, it first started with the Southland Conference. That was the purpose. But then the thinking said, well, why not enlarge? And that's when the meeting took place in Miami with Devaney and Mike Lude and other people. Well, it took a vision. One of the guys that were very much involved in this was Ken Hanna. Ken was a guy that he had a vision, and he promoted that vision. We used to have our meetings in his house. Today, we didn't have an executive committee then. We had a steering committee. And a lot of ideas evolved from that and progressed. And as we got the reputation, our bowl has a reputation of being the best bowl from a hospitality standpoint for the teams. That's what it's all about. It's a reward for these kids that played football, whole season in practices, kids that never got into a game, and for the fans. We have a reputation. Ask anybody that's ever been here, they say that they were treated better at the Independence Bowl than any place that they played in the past. When these teams come in and their fans come in, we don't throw black tie parties like some of the bowls do, not to mention any, of course, but we do it on a let's have fun basis. I mean, I remember one of the team functions we put on at the convention center with a hypnotist. It was a riot. I mean, hypnotizing these 300-pound, 6'5" defensive linemen and acting like little kids. The team members loved it. They go home with those kinds of memories. And then, of course, they're here to play football as well. You go, you meet the people, you sell your bowl, you talk to their athletic director, you go up the day before, you go watch practice, Friday before the game, you sit with the coach, you meet with them, you have dinner with the athletic director, and constant selling the city, selling our city, our whole community, and what we can do for the teams. So it's a sincere approach, And you make a lot of good friends with these people. I still have a lot of good friends over these many years. And you know, when we made these trips, we had, I was not the only people that made these trips. We had a selection committee by choice that were willing to take their time and spend a whole weekend going out to various cities, when you go to remote places. And this is all on your own dime. The schools don't pay for this. They may have a dinner, and along with other bowls you're invited, so you're like a cast of thousands in those things. But you stand out in this respect. After a few years, your reputation starts to become by word of mouth, and there's no question that that was a big influence on our progress. The word of mouth from coaches that go to conference meetings, and they talk about, well, tell me about your experience when you went to the Innis Bowl. And the comments from the coaches or the athletic directors that came here during those bowl games, it became infectious. So our reputation was well earned. We were struggling, but I'll tell you, the effort of the people involved is we never quit. We never quit. As you know, to digress, when the Shreveport steamer went down, and I was involved with that, there were 60 people that started the Shreveport steamer. They put in five grand a piece, and that's what got us started. We paid all our bills. We were one of the teams in the WFL. We paid all our bills, and that was the attitude of the people involved with the Independence Bowl. It was a struggle. We were fighting TV money. We had no corporate sponsor. We had local sponsors that many have gone by the wayside where we are today, but we never gave up. Carl Mikovich, as I know the story, actually happened by accident. It happened on a golf course. Carl was playing with a young man on our committee, Sam Lees. And Sam was mentioning to Carl the need for a corporate sponsorship. And Carl said, well, why not me? And that's actually how it happened. And let me tell you what else Carl did. He brought some structure to our organization. We were not flying by the seat of our pants. We did have committees, but nothing like we had when Carl started putting some organization in. And we set up a progression on how to become chairman of the Independence Bowl. You had to work at it. It wasn't just a good old boy, well, you're going to be chairman or you're going to be this or that. You had to work committees. You had to put your time in it. And the hardest thing for people to give involving an organization is their time. And that's what it took. And that's how we evolved. That was the stepping stone to where we are today. Today, we are extremely well organized. Our executive director is very important, but our executive committee is involved, and all the various committees that we have today who spend endless hours working on the various events that have to take place. It's about exposure. These sponsors, they have to prove a worth. When we got Mainstay, I remember that was done locally. Joe Littlejohn put that together. He was involved with Mainstay. He set up all the contacts. That's how that came about. But it's the way to do it today is you go hire you hire an agent to go out in the marketplace and try to sell somebody. And you pay for that. You pay these agents to do that. That's how we got the Camping World. And that we had them for 2 years, and they made an offer to us for the third year, but it wasn't, as far as the committee was concerned, it was not worth doing that last year with them. No, I don't think anybody's willing to sign a 10 or a 20-year contract that doesn't exist. You've got, for the Big Six bowls, that's a different story. That's all. That's huge TV money and so forth. No, you try to sign a deal with options. It's a challenge. It's a continued challenge. There was one time when we were at Jeopardy, a group of people got together and made a commitment to come up with some money to keep the bowl going. Big money. Substantial money to keep the bowl going. Individuals that took pride in their city and took pride in this bowl. We never had to get to that point. Although, I think at one time some of the people did get together and we made pledges that we would come up with the money for one of the bowl games. And we never had to execute those pledges because we came in. Now, I do think this. We cannot, I don't think this bowl will survive without the support from the city of Shreveport. We get huge support from them. We get some support from the Caddo Parish Commission as well. And the state support. We couldn't exist without that. And TV money is very important. And these are all negotiations. You sit down, you do negotiating. It's, if you don't like what you hear, you negotiate. And I think that has been a big part of our progress because of our ability to negotiate. I'm a glass half full guy. It's just the way it is. Being a small part, small contributor of being involved, it becomes a matter of personal pride. Pride for your community and pride for all the people that get involved and stay involved. So I guess you could call it a passion. And that's, even at this late date, that still exists with me and my wife. We're very much involved. Not like we used to be, but the passion is the same. So many memories. The huge crowds for the LSU Notre Dame and the LSU Michigan State games. The Snow Bowl when we had to plow the fields so we could see the yard markers. I mean, that was incredible. And national recognition from that, you got to have pride in that. The passion of the crowds, the functions after the game that took place at Hirsch Coliseum, and watching the fan involvement, watching the fans walk up and down the midway, those are memories that you cherish, that they can't be replaced, but they'll always exist. Those memories will always exist.